I'm going to slightly increase my font size so that it is visible. Hope so. These two are, pretty much a fresh installations of Linux. So if you see the host name here, it is my client, and then if I see my host name here, it's my Ansible master. Right. So this again, to see the username or you can run etc directories. So you can see it's a fresh, CentOS running in 7 operators. The same a mirrored server for my client machine. So how do we install Ansible? It is pretty straightforward. There are two ways you can install Ansible. One, if you already have Python installed, Python with pip installed, because Ansible is completely written on Python. So Ansible also comes as a module inside Python. So if you have Python and pip installed, you can always do pip install Ansible, so that you should be able to get my Ansible installed within a fraction of seconds. And you can also use, if you are using Linux-based operating system, you can, or Ubuntu or anything. So if it is Linux-based system, you can always use yum install Ansible, so that you will be able to easily download and install Ansible in your model. And if you are using Ubuntu or SUSE Linux, or any Debian-based service for that matter, you can always do apt-get install Ansible. So you should be able to get the Ansible install in your platform, right? So since it is a CentOS box, which we have today, I'm going to go ahead and install Ansible with my yum command, right? So if you see, it has found the packages. It has asked for a lot of dependency, and if you see, most of the dependency are part of Python. And because since Ansible is all basically depends on Python and Python based modules, you can always see it adds some dependency packages related to Python. So I'm going to go ahead and give yes. So it is downloading and installing all the packages.
Anand, see, you're using 7.5, right, CentOS?
Yes, I
Yeah, so you have configured any repo so that it downloads a Python, or by default, I mean, if you don't have anything configured on server, right? So how does the package get installed? Do we have to download it separately?
it is using the if you see uh, from which repo it is downloading. So if you see, Ansible is getting downloaded from EPL repository, and all the related binaries are coming from the base CentOS driver. So if you wanted to check if EPL repository is installed or not, we can quickly check RPM and QA grep for EPL. So I have EPL repository by default in my package, or if not, you can always install yum install, EPL release, so that it gets downloaded and installed. Yeah. Maybe I need an update. I got an update. Maybe I can update as well. If you don't have, you can have the EPL repository downloaded and installed, and after that you can do an yum install, and so you should be able to download it.
Okay. And by default, RHEL 8 and all comes with Ansible installed on it, right?
I'm not sure about that, but from I work predominantly till RHL 6 and 7, and that I haven't seen Ansible by default. Maybe I am not sure about RHL 8, but it doesn't come by default.
Okay, well, no, because I was just going through all those. So, like, they have just changed the RHEL 8 complete administration to Linux automation with Ansible, right?
Correct,
So, yeah, so
correct, correct,
maybe
correct.
that's
Uh,
8 is.
I got it. I haven't got uh, the chance to work on RHL 8. Maybe if I got, I would have
Okay.
gone. But with my understanding, I feel RHL 7 it was not there.
Thanks. Sorry to interrupt you. Thanks.
Yeah, no. right? So once we installed, so if you wanted to check if it is Ansible is available or not, just type Ansible and put a tab. You should be able to see all the related Ansible commands um, which are there in the system right now, right? So you can just play around, just type Ansible and see what are the arguments or the version. Okay. Gives me all the version which is installed on my system. I got the 4.9 version of Ansible, and this is my path of my default configuration files. And it tells you exactly, all the different where does it check for all the different configuration, where the module search for, where all the Python module locations of Ansible and all this. So it gives you, it works on top of Python 2.7.5. That's my default Python, which comes in the operating system, but I always recommend to go with Python 3 version because Python 2 was already reached end of support and would be deprecated in the other, in the future releases. So always install a Python 3 version and use that to, download and install your Ansible so that it will be more of, updated version, right? So this is the executable location by default. When I see where is Ansible, it should be coming that user bin Ansible as a default location, right? And all the Ansible Python related modules will be stored here. And these are the default module search path for Ansible. And the main configuration file of Ansible resides in my etc Ansible directory. So let us take a moment to go ahead and see what is actually inside my Ansible.cfg location. So you will get to see all the defaults of all the configuration that Ansible carry, which you can always alter it or override during your playbook creations, or you override through your environment variables and so on. So if you just see, when you open, you can see all they were also mentioned in line one. So nearly every parameter here can be overridden through a simple environment variables or from your playbook directory, right? So it tells you, where does all the inventory gets to be loaded by default. If I don't specify a place where my inventory is, it will take from this particular location. And if I all the default location for all the variables, I mean the modules and the utilities, and where does the remote temp directory. So as I said, Ansible works in a remote push mechanism. So all the related modules that needed. Let's say, for example, I am installing a software remotely from my Ansible master node. All the binaries needed or the respective modules needed will be copied from your Ansible server to your, the client server in this particular directory in root.ansible temp. Deployed, ran, all the output will be fetched from there, and then it will also delete it once it is done. And what is the local temp directory? And so it's this basically, all the default configurations that Ansible task will be there in this file. Mostly everything will be commented out, but you can always, uncomment whichever needed, right? So this is the, basically the main configuration file for Ansible. So if you want to change the behavior of anything, you can always come here and change it. You can also see where to look for all the plugins. So action plugins, cache plugins, connection plugins, inventory plugins, and the switch route plugins. So you can also have, plugins related to inventory, as I mentioned, not just Ansible reads from a configuration file or an INI file. You can also, create a script to read the inventory from a database, and then auto-generate your inventory dynamically and give it as an input whenever you run a playbook, or it can be fetched from an EC2 instance or from an Azure instance. All those things can also be, changed using this enable plugin option. So you can always take a look around whenever you deploy Ansible, and you can always have a look around the entire configuration right from here. And then, so if you go to etc Ansible, so it creates some default things for us. That is the inventory file. So hosts are nothing but the inventory file to manage all the inventory of the servers and the network devices, whatever is going to be managed by Ansible. Ansible.cfg, as I mentioned, is the default configuration file. And roles is where all our playbooks can be stored and run. So by default, it's an empty directory. You can start writing the playbooks, and multiple playbooks can be written, and that is what is called as a role, and can be orchestrated, through Ansible also, right? And there are also a pre-written Ansible uh, playbooks which are available in the market, like a marketplace, where people contribute lots and lots of Ansible roles, which are nothing but the playbooks which are created by default. So where do I find it? Is there's a place called Ansible Galaxy, where I can go ahead and see all the different playbooks which are being contributed by all the open system. So let's say we pick up system, you can see there are lots of playbooks. So all these are playbooks created by the people, submitted for us to use. Right? You can always search for, if you're writing something, you can see if there is any a playbook which is available, where you can reuse it, and then you can start working on it right away as well. Or you can do some simple modification and start using. For example, Kubernetes, AWS. Let's say I will click on AWS, and it says some information about the collection, and then you can always go to the document site to read through the document. So this is basically to manage the AWS resources, playbooks to manage all the different AWS resources. Likewise, you can, I just wanted to tell you that there's lots and lots of playbooks which are pre-built and available, which you can always use it when you start writing your playbooks. It's not that everything you wanted to build from scratch. Right? So you can see there are playbooks related to monitoring, system configurations, cloud, DevOps, and so on. Okay, then back to our playbooks. So what we are going to see now is quickly take a look around the inventory file, and we will also add our client node into our inventory, right? So let us open our inventory file with some default. Again, everything will be commented, and they would be showing how do you exactly wanted to create your inventory. So inventory file comes as a syntax which and .ini file would typically have. A .ini file comes with for example, with a bracket to specify what group that particular configuration is, and followed by all the configuration variables. So this is a similar way. For example, if you see, they mentioned web servers as a group, and then they mentioned some of the IPs, which you can also use FQDN as well as the normal IP address for Azure Web Server group. Similarly, I can create a database servers group, and I can also add these machines in the part of the inventory. And you can also write some regex if you are comfortable with. For example, if you see another example of a host name. So, for example, if you have a standard naming convention for all your host name in your organization, you can always mention, db hyphen 0 till 100 dot xyz.com is all my DB servers group. So I don't need to mention each and every one, in a line, right? So I can also do that. Similarly for web, so if you are comfortable with regex, you can do that. and if all your host name falls under a particular criteria. So let us create a group. Let's say we can say Ansible clients, right? And I'm going to mention my IP, which is here 172.1.201. And I'll have to tell, what is the username and password to connect to this. There are two ways. Either you can already have, if you are a Linux admin and comfortable in doing public key exchange. If you have private public key, you can create a SSH key in my master server, and I can put all the keys in all my clients that I need to manage, so that you don't need to mention your passwords and username. Basically passwords in the configuration file if you want to. If not, you can always mention your username and password file in the inventory file, and Ansible will pick it from there as well. So if you don't want to have your password stored, you can always have um, the SSH key created and can be shared in all your client machines. And there's another way to securely store your passwords, even if you don't want to do SSH key mapping. Ansible has a concept called Ansible Vault, which we generally teach during our sessions, to how we can securely encrypt the host file or any file for that matter to using Ansible Vault, so that nobody will be able to open the file until they have the password to open that particular file. So Ansible should be able to read it, all the vault file, because once I convert a file into an Ansible vault, it will be completely encrypted and only Ansible should be able to read it. And with a key, I should be able to easily decrypt back, and if there are any edit or changes needed in my entire inventory. So that is another way we can securely store the password, even though if you don't want to share my username and passwords inside the configuration. So I'm going to put Ansible SSH user equal to root. So that's the user which I have in my target system. And then I'm also going to type in Ansible SSH password equal to my right. So this is how we mentioned. You can mention each IP like this, and if you have um, each one has its different username and password, you can always give it in the same manner. And in case if all the username passwords for the entire group is common, you can always create a where's group for Ansible clients, and then I can mention the variables commonly, so that for every IP in this particular group, I can pick up the variables from this particular section. I can also do that. So just wanted to tell you that sort of configuration is also available. So once we do this, I'll just save it, and I wanted to test it if that works really. We just mentioned IP, username, and password. I wanted to see if I'm able to communicate to that um, targeted client or not. So let's say I'm going to confirm if the IP is correct. So yes, I do have the same IP, and so I'm going to just see. First, I'm going to check if there is a reachability available from my master server to my client. So I can say I'm able to ping, and let's test it the same way with Ansible as well, right? So I can also execute ad hoc commands, from Ansible through the clients. It's not that only I have to create a playbook and run the playbook in all the target server. I can also execute ad hoc system commands, simple modules directly in the command line to verify the output quickly from a list of servers or individual servers and so on. So what I'm going to use is a module called ping, right? So Ansible, again, as I mentioned, all the basic building blocks for Ansible is modules. So everything is depends on a module. For example, I'm using a ping module in Ansible to check whether my device is reachable or not, where all my Ansible So I'm just putting Ansible FNM ping, which group? It's my Ansible clients group. You can see in the immediate response, which I got is yes. It gives me the Pong message. I send ping, it gives me Pong back just to make sure that it is responding to all my Ansible commands. And it also tells me it is success. I'm able to get the result from the targeted system. So which means my client system, all the configuration in the inventory is correct, and I'm able to reach the client system, and I'm able to successfully, I will be able to run playbooks or tasks in the future from that particular. So again, so what we're going to do now here is a pretty much fresh installation of CentOS. It has got nothing. So we are going to set it up like a web server, as a LAMP stack, we can call. I'm going to install HTTP, create an index.html file from the master and push that contact, and I'm going to access through my browser and see whatever I did to Ansible is working fine now, right? So that's what we are going to do it. And just wanted to verify that that's nothing related to HTTP currently installed in the system. I'm going to verify with RPM to see HTTP is installed. No. I'm also going to run HTTP status to see that if it is installed, it is not installed. Right. So again, it's a fresh box. So let us start writing our playbooks. For that, let's go to the default location like EPC, Ansible, and roles. Maybe we can create an empty file, like install http.yaml, right? So as I mentioned, Ansible understand all the playbooks in a language called YAML. YAML is a pretty easy to understand human readable format, though sometimes it becomes little tricky because only one thing that YAML would require from you is the way it indents the different categories. If there are any problems with the indentation, it obviously throws error and it will want you to correct that before you run your playbooks in the targeted system, right? So create let's open the file and start putting our playbooks. So all the YAML syntax begins with three hyphens. So just tell you that this particular file is a YAML file. That's how the syntax of YAML is. So it begins with a three hyphens. And then I'm going to give a name for this playbook. Right. So I'll say playbook for installing web server. Right. And which all hosts should be part of this playbook. So I'm going to say it's all, Ansible clients. That's my, inventory or the group. And then which remote user I should use for this playbook. I can also alter this through some other user. If I wanted to run playbook as a different user, I can always use it, that user. But since we are installing packages and restarting services, you need root privileges or user with sudo privileges. And if we are giving a user other than root user, you can always mention, you know, become user is root and become is true, so that it always uses sudo command to run and execute your commands, right? And so this is the default section where all the generic details of the playbook like name, host, which remote user you want. Again, these are all optional parameters. Which remote user we want to become a root user or not. Since again, it doesn't matter because we're already using root user. So if become true or false doesn't matter. If you're using some other user here, we'll always say become to true so that it uses sudo to run your commands. Then we are mentioning our tasks. Our first task is to install, the package. I will say the task name is install HTTPD. That's our Apache Web Server package. And how do you need to install? We use yum as our package manager for Linux. So I'm going to mention that. And what is the name of the package? It is HTTPD. And what is the state? If you want to have a specific version, you can mention it here. I'll go with the latest version, right? So this is, it looks very human readable and pretty simple if you see. I'm just typing it, a pretty um, basic English. So for the first task is over. The moment if I wanted to run the second task, I'll put another hyphen and say what is the task name and what I need to do. So now second task would be to run my HTTPD or, start my HTTPD service, right? For that, what I should use, the service, and what is the name of the service. So just have a look at the way that indentation is. So this is how you need to indent between the different categories. So it needs what is my parent category, what is the subcategory, and what is the sub to subcategory. I'm going to say service name is HTTPD, and the state should be started, right? And so I think this is more than enough to install and run your default HTTP, but I'm also going to create my own content in my index.html and push it to the target. So I'm going to tell, let's say create custom content, right? And I'm also going to copy it, and what my content is, let's say my content here is, and let's say congrats to have installed, or congrats on running your first Ansible playbook, right? This is just a default text. And what is my destination to copy? I can mention it here. In where www.html in index.html. So this content will go on to the destination in this particular file, because this is a default file where Apache or the web server looks in CentOS or any Linux related operating system. So when we put this, we take this as a default file. So it's going to put this congrats running on your first Ansible playbook in my index.html file in the destination. So yeah, I think this is how a playbook would get created. And just to give a quick information about the playbook, so these yum, service, copy are all the modules for the playbook. Right? These are called as the modules, which will help you to create that functionality. So I don't need to run any large Linux command. I don't need to really depend on RPM command, search, install. I just need to use what modules I need, like yum, service, copy, move, SCP, all the different modules we just got. So if you just search over the internet, you'll get all the different modules which Ansible supports by default, which I can use it in day out, to create these particular playbooks, right? So it is a very simple playbook, but it also, we are running a multi-step task like installing HTTPD, starting the HTTPD, and then creating a content, and then, also deploying the content on my target service. So I'm going to save this. And next thing, before running, you always wanted to check whether the created, syntax is correct or not, because that's one step just people misses, and and doesn't matter anyway when you run the playbook, it's going to throw you an error. But it's good to check the syntax before you run. right? So Ansible playbook install hyphen syntax check, right? So I'm going to give this command. Ansible playbook is a command to run your playbooks. This is the playbook file, and then just check the syntax. If everything is fine, doesn't throw an error and say this playbook is fine to run. If you have any mistakes, let us see if I can make some mistake. Maybe I'll put host somewhere inside here and see. Immediately it throws an error. So there is no related indicators or syntax error while loading a YAML and blah blah blah. It goes in line 3 exactly in column 1, but you can also look within the problem. So it exactly it tells you this particular host where you mentioned is there's some problem in there, right? So you can always come and correct this particular line, and imagine you wanted to check, you can then syntax check it. Just wanted to have to show you the how does the negative scenario works as well. Right, so let's run the playbook and see how does it actually runs in the target system. I'm going to put Ansible playbook and I'll say install httpd that, yeah, right? Yeah, let's wait. So it's playbook for installing web server. That's our play. And Ansible default also gathers some facts about the target system. It checks what are all the configuration of the server first time when it runs. So it will also download and keep that configuration, like how many memories installed, CPU installed, what operating system, what are all softwares inside. So that is part of the gathering facts. You can always say should you wanted to gather the facts or not. So I can mention gather underscore facts equal to false in my when I define the play and name, so that it doesn't have that step. Otherwise, that step is default in all the tasks. So if it installs 10 different nodes, it does that facts gathering and all those 10 different servers. If you don't want to do that, you can always disable that. And you can see the particular task has been, each of our tasks gets executed. So just if it is changed, which means there is some change done in that operating system layer. So install HTTPD is done, start HTTPD service is done, and then creating custom content is done. That's why it's all mentioned in, all the changes have been mentioned in, yellow. And overall, all the four tasks has been completed. If anything, if the machine is unreachable, you'll get an issue here. If there is anything failed, you'll tell you what it will be failed and why it is failed with error message and all the console output, so that you can also take a note and try to fix it as well. Right. So how do we check if our all these tasks are actually executed in this particular server or not? So we'll go back and run our same command. So I'm going to put RPM QA. Now you can see there are a couple of HTTPD RPMs which are there. And then I'll also check the status of HTTPD. It says it is running and it started a minute and 52 seconds ago exactly, which means it has been done right now by the Ansible module. Right, so let's also see if our custom content is actually there in our web server or not. So I can always open up my browser, go put the particular IP 172.16.1.201 and click and enter. Okay, so it is not reaching. Maybe there's some problem in the firewall which is blocking. Let me check the status of the firewall here. By the way, I can also do this. Yeah, Ansible. I can say that allow the ports 80 by default, adding one more section so that it gets allowed. So the firewall is running for now. Let me stop it quickly and just see. And now you can see our playbook is there. I mean, our content whatsoever we have given. is already there. I mean, it's just a very basic one-liner which we have added. I can also have an index.html file created in our master server, and that can also be replicated on all the nodes as well, right? So yeah, so this is how an entire playbook would be written. Okay? And let us run it one more time and see what exactly happened. Okay, let's see one more time and see what actually it is doing. So this time, if you see the output that has got previously and which is now was a little bit just some modification because current output was saying it changed, but still there is no changes now. It says everything is okay. All my current configurations are pretty much in a way that is needed by Ansible. So that's how you manage multiple different configurations. If there are any changes in the configuration, it changes back to the configuration that needed by the Ansible. Otherwise, it just says all my configuration is fine. It checks all the different tasks and says it's all okay. You don't need to do anything. Or if there is any changes, it says I've changed this particular piece, and it says that. Let's say if I, for example, stop the HTTPD, okay, and if I run this playbook one more time, so install HTTPD would be okay, but starting HTTPD is changed, and task to create the customs content is still fine, right? So it was down, so it's changed the state back into start, and it says I have changed one particular task alone, right? So this is how you can manage multiple different servers and its configuration state of the application or the server or the directories or the packages on the servers and everything centrally through Consul. So we will also now quickly see another small playbook, another different variety. Maybe how do I execute a shell command in a list of different servers? Currently, we have only one server, but let's say if we take up different servers, how do we do that? We create another playbook. Shell example YAML, and then as usual, I say this is my YAML file, and then let's say the name is to execute shell command is my playbook name, and I say hosts which are part of my Ansible clients would take part in this playbook, and the tasks again name is there's only one task. Maybe let's say check the date or check the post name, right? And then I mentioned shell and the command to actually execute, right? And then maybe I can register this output in a particular variable. So how do I do that? I can put a register block and say that put this, command output in this particular variable. So I can always use this variable in my second task, third task, and so on always. Let's say, for example, I'm running a big playbook where I do a pre-check and output of the pre-check. Some of the output of the pre-check I needed in my second task. I can always forward these variables and use it, right? And then I can put another name called debug, which is to print the output on the screen. Message equals to, I can say that particular host name command dot std out. What I'm saying is, whatever the command you executed and the output which you stored in my variable, just print it out when you run it. So when you the name of the variable dot std out, so that it prints on the screen whenever it runs, right? Let us see if whatever I've written is actually, right or not. Okay, sorry, I didn't mention the name of the page. Quran. So Ansible playbook, and I mentioned shell, right? So again, every time it's run this hack, so and this task, check the host name, it checks, and this is the debug message output, which is okay, and the message is basically the host name of my client, which is Ansible. I can run any sort of commands over there. Maybe I can say rather than giving host name, I can say whether the HTTP is installed or not. HTTP, and now you can see. So it says, it is fine to run your RPM command, but always consider using these particular modules if you wanted to check. It also gives you some warnings telling that good that you run your RPM command, but always use yum command, yum module which is available to check your quantity. I mean, just for the purpose of execution, I did, but you can always use the yum module to say package is available or not. So you can see the message that there are two HTTP packages which are available. So how do I alter this output? So by default, it gives with its own default output. Let's say I wanted this entire output in a JSON format so that I can run this entire Ansible command from my other script, and I can use the JSON output to pass the data and use it to my script, right? So that is the work of a plugin. So let's say I'm quickly going to show a plugin called JSON. So Ansible std out callback equal to JSON. And then if I run this, so you can see there's a lot of output gets produced now, right? But it's all in a different format that's needed by me. So what is actually happening is it gives me in a proper JSON output with all the different information, what all the possible information that can be thrown to me. Ansible gives that. Like if you see, just play started duration, then make the start date, end date. What is the ID of the play? What is the name that we executed and the task, in which host, which IP it is run, and all the facts which is gathering in the first case. The output of the facts will also in JSON. I can use this all these useful information like all what all IP addresses there in the targeted machine. Um, what is the even the BIOS date, architecture of the machine, root image, date time status. I mean, whole lot of almost every information of the server will be available for use. What are all the physical disks? What are all the logical partitions? What are all the software installed? What is the distribution and distribution file path, Red Hat 7? I mean, what are the DNS servers configured? Domain path. I mean, all the different even TCP/IP packet related information. You'll get the entire dump of the facts which is gathered, and also in fact the host keys of the system and so on. So if you don't want this many information, you can always disable that gathering facts equal to true, and then finally comes our output here. It's a small check host name command ID, and yeah. So this is how you can alter the entire message. So in a simple one-liner or it's a simple environment variable, I was able to completely change the way Ansible prints the message. Now I can always use this output in my script to pass whatever the data I want. For example, stats of IP of OK, it will give me all the three tasks passed and there's one changed and so on. I mean, this just one plugin. There are, again, hundreds and hundreds of plugins available which can alter the flow, pass the output, pass inputs, get outputs, and so on. Right. So I think that's about it. I just wanted to give a quick workshop on how things works within Ansible, but there are lots and lots of things that we cover in our actual classes, like right from installation. We in inventory we spend a couple of days. We do traditional way of inventory. We pick up inventory from a database, from script, and so on. And then again we do playbooks, different use cases. Working with Windows machines is again there is a different criteria. We have to how to set up the configure the Windows machine to communicate to Ansible. What are all the default things to be done? Like what are things to be enabled, what code to be enabled. Again, then after once it is done, you should be able to run your same page there as well. Managing a Windows server, managing a Linux environment, installing software, executing commands, and then various different plugins that will help you to modify different ways in which your playbooks are installed. We will also talk about roles. Roles is again a different concept. And then we'll also use some of the Ansible Galaxy collection to run it. And so these are all the topics we actually cover in our the actual session, right? So just to give a feel of how things goes within Ansible, I think hope you get a very fair bit of understanding of how things goes within Ansible, right? Yeah. So any queries, questions here you wanted to clarify, before we